Hey, Jarrett Lau here with Green Ocean Property Management. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you every single thing that you need to do and know so that you don't have to hire me. So let's talk about condo association management. I always say that buildings themselves are easy to manage. It's the people. So if you are going to be a board of trustees and you guys are choosing to self-manage your condo association, make sure that you have really strong communication skills. And I say this not with just the fellow board members, which you have to get along with, you have to be able to make decisions with, you have to be able to both communicate and negotiate with, to be able to get decisions made. You need to be able to work with vendors, to be able to obtain bids, follow up with them, make sure that they show up. You need to make sure that you are communicating with all the other owners, where the money is going, what the plans are, issues with the building and how they're being solved by you. If there's any rented units in the building, you're gonna have to be able to deal with tenants. If there's any complaints from these tenants, working with them, explaining to them the rules and regulations of the building, right? So communication plays a huge part of everything that you do as a board of trustees who are self-managing. The next thing, financials. You got to be really good at the financials. So every single condo association has its own EIN. That means it's legally a business. You have to make sure that you are registering with FinCEN, right? So you also have to make sure that annually you create a budget, and that budget each month and at the very least each quarter is being reviewed, budget versus actuals. And that budget will consist of you making sure that you are re-quoting out every single line item of any reoccurring expenses, such as cleaning, your landscaping, any fire alarms, elevators, any expenses. You also have to make sure that you guys are extremely diligent with making sure that your vendors are being kept up with their W-9s, and yes, you have to issue them 1099s. You have to make sure that they have their proper insurance, not only general liability with the proper limits, but also workers' compensation. You have to make sure that if you have any on-staff people, that they also have the proper coverage and that you are paying their payroll and their health care properly. And if you don't, you're a smaller building, you don't have to worry about that, but it's still very important. You have to make sure that you are collecting all the condo fees and that you are understanding that if someone's late on their condo fees, how to collect those condo fees legally after 60 days from their mortgage company and the proper letters that go out to be able to do so. You need to make sure that all of the ledgers are kept history, so you know who's paying and who isn't paying. You have to make sure that each bank account is properly reconciled. And when I say each bank account, you're going to have a operating account and a reserve account. And that reserve account acts like a piggy bank. You're going to want to keep up to date with understanding that typically Fannie Mae will require 10% of the operating funds to go towards your reserves. They want to see you saving a certain amount. And again, after the accounts are reconciled, typically, hopefully by the 5th to 10th of the month, you're going to need to make sure that all the other unit owners are aware of this and that you're creating that budget versus actuals and you're seeing if there's anything out of line or out of whack. Of course, you're going to have to make sure that you're paying the bills on a timely basis so that there's no late fees, and you're going to want to see any type of issues such as overusage of water. You can't just pay bills blindly, so we compare month to month. So that's the financial end of things. So we've talked over communication, we've talked through financials. Let's talk through some maintenance. So maintenance is probably going to be one of the most difficult parts of this. When nothing occurs at a building, that's great, but I will tell you that almost every building in Boston as it gets older will have issues. So you're going to have your reoccurring things such as your landscaping, and you're going to want to know what that looks like. You're going to need to make sure that you have a scope of work. So every single time we have a new association, we create what is called a RFP, or a request for proposal. And we're going to create a scope of work so that we can bid it out to every single vendor, say 3 to 5 different vendors, so that you're doing your fiduciary responsibility to the board and building. And you're going to make a comparison of apples to apples quotes. And what will end up happening is that then you will, accept the vendor, their scope of work, sign off on it, and make sure that when those bills come in, that they are true to what was estimated out. You're going to make sure that everything is covered within the building itself. Make sure that you have the correct, fire extinguisher inspections. And remember when those are. You have elevators, when those expire, you're going to have to do the paperwork in advance, schedule the fire alarm company with the sprinkler alarm company with it. You're also going to want to do reoccurring maintenance tasks such as dryer vent cleanings if there's common laundry, carpet cleanings, resealing of the seams of flat roofs every 3 to 5 years. There's a checklist that we have of all the things proactively you should be doing at a building, and you're going to be responsible for that. In addition, that's going to be the easy part of maintenance. The hard part's the one-off, right? If there's a leak, how to deal with those shut off. If there's a flood or a fire, how to deal with that as well. All of the maintenance issues, that if there is a heating system issue that goes down in a common area building, who to call, following up with them. You know, the hardest part in Boston is getting vendors to show up when you want them to at a reasonable price, and of course making sure they have the right insurance, right? And this all falls on your shoulder, plus again the communication of what's going on when you're doing it. So the maintenance part of it, and then of course doing annual inspections or even quarterly walkthroughs of the property to be able to know what is going on, stay ahead of it, be proactive. So if you know that you have steps that need to be repaired. If you're a larger association, you're going to want to do reserve studies and to be able to plan out those financials so that you guys are not doing assessments all the time. You're going to have to understand how bids work for things like snow. Is it per inch? Is it snowfall? Is it push per push? Is it a flat amount, right? These are all questions that you're going to have to be able to answer as a board of trustee and responsibility for the rest of the building. In addition to what we just talked about, the communication, the financials, the maintenance, right? You're going to have a ton of documentation. And that documentation is going to start with things like the certificate of acceptance form that when you become a trustee, your certificate of delegation form if you have anybody that has decision-making abilities that needs to be able to do it on behalf of the board itself. You're going to have to do things like, again, create the budgets. You're going to create monthly or quarterly newsletters to update all the other owners. You're going to have to file the taxes, do those reconciliations of all of the accounts, right? And just make sure that all the paperwork is somewhere for you to be able to see. There's meeting minutes. There's going to be annual meetings that you have to run, take votes on. Really a lot of paperwork goes into it. Again, it's a business, so you're going to have to be responsible for it. So, you know, that is a high level overview of a lot of things that go on when you're managing your own condo association. And guess what? You're not being paid for it. So again, I have checklists and items and trainings of how you can, you know, run these buildings yourself. And I do wish you the best of luck for it. I will just say it is a thankless position. However, it is something that many people can do. It's just whether they can do it well and whether they want to for the minimal cost that goes into hiring a property manager and company. So if you or anyone else you know wants some guidance on how to self-manage or just looking for a property manager, please think of me, Jarrett Lau with Green Ocean Property Management. You get more than a property manager, you get peace of mind.